Hello and welcome to the Living in Integrity online interview series, where we are empowering people pleasers to stop procrastinating, to learn to set boundaries, and to own their unique awesomeness. I'm your host, Cyndie Knorr. I'm a mindset coach and a change agent with Synergy Coaching. I love learning and studying and taking courses and doing everything I can to improve my life and the life of my family and my clients. And I love this summit because I have the opportunity to share with you some amazing authors and speakers and influencers. And our guest today is somebody new to me, but I read his book and I really love what he's doing. And so I want to share him with you. I'll read you his bio. We have Brian Benson. He goes by Brian. His mission is to wake up the world with conscious, thought-provoking media that inspires. In 2008, Brian followed a hunch and left his family's business, stepping into the unknown. Ever since, inspiration has followed. Letting intuition be his guide, he began to step out of his comfort zone, and unexpected paths and talents started to emerge, such as writing, acting, and crafting stories. Tapping into this emerging creativity, Brian began his own hero's journey of self-realization and growth, which continues to influence his empowering and inspiring books, films, and presentations. Brian is an award-winning and #1 best-selling author. He's an actor, a project coach, a podcast host, filmmaker, and a TEDx speaker. He knows the value of trusting intuition and wants to share his own personal journey of self-growth, discovery, and accomplishment to help others reconnect with their own personal truths to live an authentic and fulfilling life. As a 4 times Ironman triathlete and a cross-country bicyclist, Brian knows the value of hard work and never giving up on your dreams. It's a message he shares with audiences through each of his creative expressions. Brian's latest book, Habits for Success, Inspired Ideas to Help You Soar. This is the book that I read that I highly recommend. It's by Mango Publishing, and it was an Amazon #1 bestseller. Boy, my tongue's getting all twisted up here. Mm-hmm. An award winner in the motivational book category. So thank you so much, Brian, for being with us. Welcome.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Cyndie.
And I know you're traveling and you're an all over the place man right now. So you found internet.
Yeah. I've been on the road almost 5 months now. I left April 5th and from Oregon, and I find myself now up in the Ontario area near Georgian Bay.
Nice.
And then I'll be heading back into the States tomorrow again.
Okay. Wow. So this works out great. I see that my paper that had my notes fell on the floor.
That happens. They're making a run for it.
I know. When you see me duck out, then you just got to take it from here. Oh, I have so many questions that I want to ask you so that you can share with us.
Yeah.
I know that your life is full of many examples of stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's been a big part of your message. Tell us about what that's all about and why it's so important for people.
Wow. I think, they're just those inner callings that have kind of come at me at different times in my life. And I just felt like I had to honor them, even though it didn't always necessarily make sense. And probably, I was doing it when I was a little kid. I love baseball and its history. And I found this magazine in the late 70s that had all these addresses and guys that played in the 20s and 30s and 40s. And I just started writing them. And it was almost like potentially Christmas in the mailbox every day, when something might come back. And that was kind of before all that stuff became a business. So that was really fun. But I've always just kind of just done stuff that I felt like I was supposed to do. And, when I got into triathlons, that happened kind of due to a knee injury, but I just intuitively felt like I should set a goal and to try to do a short course one. And this is like in 1987, and I did, and it just became my life for like 5 years. And so doing all those races, including some of the Ironman races, I think the more I did, the more alive I felt and the more empowered I felt. And I just, luckily, I think I had that in my back pocket when I left my family business, you know what I mean? When I felt like it was time to end that and start stepping out of my comfort zone in other ways. So I've always just done that. But what I've found is that each time I do that, it might be a little scary at first, but it's also exciting. And I've always landed, and it's always made me a better person. And it's always brought some gifts to me. So, I always, the more you do it, the easier it gets. But I'm a big fan of listening to those little nudges and leaping.
Well, we're going to talk more about that for sure, because I love your message about intuition. And I love it that you take action when you get these little messages, because I know that a lot of people don't. They kind of think, oh, that's crazy, or that I could never do that, or, they just don't take action.
I haven't always either, but it's just for the most part, it's given me just so much joy and just, it's made life exciting and okay, a little bit unpredictable.
Oh, well, that is what makes it exciting. Tell us about your beginner story about your leaving your family business, because that was a big step.
Yeah. So I've been running it for 11 years, and I kind of, maybe in the back of my mind, I always felt like it wasn't going to be what I was going to do for the rest of my life. But it kind of got to the point where I knew I was done. I felt burnt out, and I felt like I wasn't growing in there anymore. And I had no idea what I was going to do with the rest of my life. But I had a chat with my dad, and he was understanding, and we decided to sell it. So I ended up having to stay an extra year while we went through the process of finding a buyer and such. And it was not easy, because I wanted to kind of be on the road and kind of figure out what was next for me. But it was good in a lot of ways too, because it gave me a little bit of time to let the next phase kind of season. I was feeling out of balance. So one day I sat down and wrote 5 things that I knew that would help me stay in balance during this period. And I just stuck it in my wallet, and I would refer to it every once in a while. And it did help. And all of a sudden my intuition started saying, expand the list and write a book. And I'd never, ever written anything before. But I just, while I was at work, I just sit in the back there and just start writing it. And it kind of came through me pretty quickly. It's a simple book, but I think, I'm proud of how it turned out. And I self-published it. And this is before I knew about Amazon, and their self-publishing system and stuff. And I found an editor, I found a layout person, and I found a printer. And just my eyes were bigger than my stomach, and I ordered 2,000 copies. But it's I threw it into a couple contests, and it won a contest, which surprised me. But it was exactly what I needed. And after I left the business, I moved to be near my son, about 500 miles away, while he was entering high school in Northern California. And so when I was there, I knew that if I wanted to share its message, I needed to overcome my fear of speaking. And so it was not easy, but I just dove in. I did a couple of community college speech classes. I did Toastmasters for about a year. I hired someone to co-host an internet radio show with me who had experience. I created an interactive workshop for the book, and thought I was being clever by making it interactive, but because I wouldn't have to speak the whole time. But it turned out working better that way. And I took an acting class with no plans on acting. So I was just doing all these things intuitively that I felt would just make me more comfortable in front of people. And I started getting some skills, and just one thing led to another. And, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah. That the common theme is that you took action, like all of those things. You saw that there was a gap that you wanted to fill. If you weren't comfortable speaking, then you did something about it. Like I was in Toastmasters myself.
Yeah.
So, there's things that for people to do, but instead of sitting around making excuses.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and after taking that, I'm going to make sure my phone is off. There we go. After taking that acting class, when it was over, I had a dream come to me, and it was this story about a street guitarist. And when I woke up, it felt so powerful that I cannot let this go. I wrote it down, and then I met a young filmmaker a few weeks later, and said, hey, I've never acted before. I don't know how to make a short film, but I have a pretty good idea. You want to do it with me? And so we did on the streets of Reno, Nevada over the course of about a week. And it became an 8-minute film called Guitar Man, and which was a whole nother experience for me that just really made me feel alive and was fun. And another way to be creative and put positive stuff out into the world instead of just a book. And so that led to other things, and I ended up moving to LA shortly after my son got out of high school. So
this is crazy. You just
there's
talk
just
about
lots of little intuitive breadcrumbs that that lead.
Yeah, I just got goosebumps though. You just talk about, oh man, I had a dream and I woke up and I called this guy, and I never been in a film before, but like I like playing guitar. I just played on my own, but I'm just gonna play it in this movie. Like,
I know, right?
Are you kidding me? Each of those are like crazy massive things.
I know there's massive more, but I know. I know.
But I love your story because it's an example of once you open your mind up to there's so much possibilities and opportunities, right? And then it's like, I don't know who said the quote, but it's like the whole world organizes itself to support you, right? So you came across this guy who's a filmmaker. Like, that's not random.
No, I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty good manifester. So, I mean, I feel like I think, I really, who really knows, but I mean, I think one of the things that everybody really should try to just really become self-aware of is just following those little hints, because that's God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, kind of giving us almost like maybe a game plan that is going to bring us fulfillment. It's coming from within instead of like us trying to find it from without. And so I think I just kind of stumbled upon that. And I just, the more I did, the more I honored that. And I completely live that way now. And this trip that I'm on is no different, last year was tough for a lot of people. I also went through prostate cancer surgery and such. And so with the industry being shut down, I was living in LA. There was no work, and I had to go through that experience. And, we had the smoke from fires as usual, and we had a few earthquakes that were a little bigger than normal. It's just like, I think I need to get out of LA for a little bit. So I went to visit family in Oregon. And then I just started feeling like, I feel like I'm supposed to be moving. And so I asked if I could come up and winter there, and they said sure. And so I left LA at the end of September and just kind of just sunk in and just recharged my batteries and made plans to find a used RV and just hit the road like I'm doing right now. And it's been amazing. I've learned so much about myself, and I knew that there would be a few things I'd probably get from it, but there's been a lot of gifts as well. And so having that health experience that I did last year kind of was a huge blessing, because it gave me permission to get off the hamster wheel that I was on and just step back for a little bit and let go of the things that I didn't really want to do, or that I was pushing. And so now I'm just I'm ready. I feel like I'm about ready to get off the road and kind of get grounded again and start creating and working and from a different place though.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a quote from your book. It's one of your quotes. You have a lot of amazing quotes in there, but this one is one from you, and I love it. I'm going to read it for everybody. There comes a time in all of our lives when it becomes more painful for us to stay mired in our old habits than to step outside of our comfort zone and risk the unknown as we journey toward finding our true voice. Your true voice is the language of authentic fulfillment, joy, and happiness. So much beautiful stuff in there. But stepping outside of your comfort zone, you get tired of, how painful it is to just stay in what you know and what's usual. And that's what your life is, a big example.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's so easy to get kind of stuck in a rut, I suppose. And as humans, one of the hardest things for us to do is learn how to love and accept ourselves. And so we're always looking outside of ourselves to find that, and in many different ways. Some become addictions. Some are just minor things that kind of like just get us off track for a little bit. You know what I mean? And so when we get in those ruts and stuck, I think a lot of those things become habit that are outside of ourselves. And so if we can it's all about self-awareness and self-love.
Yeah.
And I've luckily I've always tried to kind of be the best version of myself. I don't know where that came from, but it hasn't been easy. I've had to go through a lot of stuff, and we all do, but that's why we're here. And yeah.
And then help other people through it, have an easier time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're all very similar. We all want the same things.
Yeah. That's the human condition.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that we're the only ones that have problems, and we look at everybody else and looks like they got an awesome life. They got it all figured out.
Well, social media doesn't help because we're seeing, quote, everybody's best, and we're comparing it with our worst. And
the real life, yeah.
And more often than not, it's all an illusion, and it's all, just
what they want you to see.
What they want you to see.
Yeah. So
yeah, I've been part of that too.
Well, yeah, I try to stay off of social media actually because of that. And I try to keep my clients off there too, because it is so common for people pleasers, especially, to compare themselves to others, to not feel that they're measuring up, to think that other people are judging them, or want approval. The whole thing about likes. If you write something and nobody's commenting, or they liked or commented someone else's post but not yours, it's just like, I
know.
So craziness. Yeah. So instead, listen to your own downloads, your intuition, and
really just honor what you want to do and what brings you happiness, because it's so easy to get sidetracked from society's, quote, vision or version of that, and our family's vision and version of that, and it takes a while to shake it off. And I'm still shaking some of that off. Especially in the form of relationship. And there's so many different ways we can have relationships and connections with people, and a lot of times we just let the way we think it's supposed to be paint that, and that can kind of get in the way too.
Yeah, so many life lessons. I always say that even when you think you got it figured out, there's something else is going to come.
The older I get, the more I realize what I don't know, and so it's just like kind of humbling in a lot of ways. And so I'm becoming more and more quiet.
Yeah. Even things you think there's still a lot to learn.
Yep.
So if you talk a lot about, there's fear, right? That's what people face when they're thinking about getting outside of their comfort zone, whatever it is. How does somebody get through the fear or minimize it?
Great question. I think there's a lot. It kind of probably depends on what they're fearful of, but I think self-awareness is the first step. Trying to get front and center. What is this thing that you're supposedly fearful of? And then maybe just kind of try to start dissecting it, if that's possible, and maybe try to figure out the whys. And as soon as you kind of have a why, then sometimes it might even just kind of go away. But I would say just to kind of start to focus on the why and play with that, and a lot of times for other things, it's modeling. It's something else that happened to us that might get in the way of us maybe branching out or trying again, right? But like they say, you just always got to keep getting back on the horse. And so when I work with people and they have some fears, I'll try to break it down and see why, first of all, so that sometimes just them understanding that helps clear a lot of it away. But sometimes I say, just jump. And 99 times out of 100, figure it out on the way down, and you're going to land. I mean, I've jumped many times, and there's a few little mistakes that are made along the way. However, the reason why I was jumping and the ultimate outcome of my jump was perfect, if that makes sense. There's no such thing as failure. It's just another opportunity to learn, and get us honing in to that sweet spot.
And it's feedback, right?
It's feedback, and that's always good.
Yeah, you could choose to do something different, or maybe never do that again, or whatever, but you don't know if you're just sitting on your couch thinking about it. Or try to analyze the whys. Sometimes there's an analysis paralysis that goes on, where you just don't do anything because you're doing too much figuring.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Luckily, I can get my head a little bit, not so much as I used to, but yet still I would stay. It wasn't enough to keep me from following that inner nudge. I mean, where I would get in trouble is if I was trying to maybe push through when it wasn't time, or push through into let me try to give you an example. Just due to my own expectations of something, instead of just trusting the process and allowing something to be what it's supposed to be, even though it might not be as grandiose as I had hoped initially, it's all part of the piece of the puzzle. And I wish I would have known that earlier, because it kept me from a lot of enjoyment, you know, when I was creating a lot of stuff.
We can't go back and wish.
No.
I always say that we are like who we are here, like right now. We can't judge our past self, because that person was doing the best they could at that time. Absolutely. With the knowledge and skills they had. So, and our future self is going to look back at us today and say, oh, you maybe should have done this, or I wish you did that. So we just got to just do our best today, and it's all
absolutely
good.
Absolutely. For sure.
So I want to talk about your TED Talk, because I watched that, and it was really, really amazing. Tell us the main message. I'm not going to say it. I'll let you do it.
Well, sure. The title was Be Yourself to Free Yourself, with the subtitle of Finding Your Personal Freedom. And, you know, I kind of recanted the story of how I left my family business and how one thing led to another. And I did it a little bit more, probably a little more complete way than what I just talked about with you. And
we'll give people a reason to watch it then.
Absolutely. And I put little clips in there of different things that were part of it, like the short film and what have you. And so, yeah, you know, and well, basically I listed 5 things that I learned and utilized from my journey of leaving the business.
And those are the things, is that what you had written in your pocket about balance, or was that something different?
No, those were different. The things that I learned from the journey were just things that kind of came later, you know what I mean? Looking back and some of that, but the 5 things, the original balance tools that I wrote down, oh my God, it's been a while since I've thought about them. One was to make sure I was drinking enough water. And I mean, that's pretty basic, but it's amazing how most people don't do that. And it really does affect how we feel.
Yes.
So drink enough water, make sure I was getting enough sleep, all basic. Make sure that I was getting some movement every day. Movement's really important for me. Whether it's walking or going to the gym, it just helps me kind of get grounded. And so those 3 things, make sure that I was healthy. What's that?
You would be eating healthy too. Do you do that?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yes. I don't know if that was one of the.
It goes along with the getting good sleep and walking and water and all that.
For sure. Then another one was make sure that I was allowing myself to be creative every day. And back then, just before I started writing, it was playing my guitar a little bit. And so, you know, there's being creative. There's so many different ways to do it. In a lot of ways, it can really be almost like a form of meditation for people. And, you know, whether you're drawing or writing or playing guitar or what have you, it's so important to let something else come through you and quiet your brain and just turn that off for a little while. And so,
I think that a lot of people nowadays are just so overwhelmed. They take on so many things. If you don't know how to set boundaries and you don't know how to say no, then you're just go. You hit the ground running and you drop into bed at the end of the day. And under those conditions, I don't think it's possible to be creative. I think, like you said, you need to be either meditative or go for a hike or something to.
Yes. And for me, like I said, movement and nature. I mean, I love to go hike, and that's where I get a lot of my ideas. And, you know, I'll just voice them into my phone and email it to myself, and they'll become a blog or another idea for a book or what have you. When I was preparing for the TEDx talk, I actually practiced it while I had this 15-minute loop hike down in LA where I was living, and I was able to go through it twice when I did it each time. And so it's really weird. It's like, and when I'm studying sometimes for some, had to learn lines for a show, I would do that. And it's like, it almost sunk in better when I was out in nature practicing it. Yeah.
There's scientific research about that. Kelly McGonigal talks about movement and how it actually somehow things solidify in your brain better when you're moving.
I'm a firm believer of that, and I'm going to remember that going forward.
I think a lot of people, when they're processing, it's a kind of stereotypical thing. We see somebody pacing, they're talking on the phone or they're pacing, but it really does help your brain. I don't know whether it's getting more oxygen, it's able to work better, or something's happening.
Something about nature and its energy. It's just like perfection.
Nature.
And it just, we're able to quiet ourselves even a little bit more and just make room.
Yeah. It's something that people in our busy lives, we have to make a point of fitting that in somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. So life balance. Let's talk about life balance. You take that very seriously.
Well, I don't think it's any accident that my first book was on a whole bunch of different ways to stay in life balance. It was really great in that it helped me learn what kept me in balance and what threw me out of balance. And doing those workshops with people was great too, because it was a little different every time I ran it, because I would get different ideas from the folks and we discuss it. And so I know really well what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And it's enabled me to stay grounded most of the time. And even during tough times, just, it doesn't mean something's not going to still be tough, but having those tools at my disposal has just kind of maybe made it a little smoother.
What are the signs of being, for somebody to know that they're out of balance?
Oh gosh. Anxious, tired, feeling ungrounded, just unhappy, angry.
I think health problems too. I think our body really does.
Health problems. Yes, that's such a crucial thing. Yes, health problems usually kind of creep in when we're neglecting ourselves.
Did that happen to you? Is that when you, or what was happening in your life?
Well,
this is a personal question you don't want out there.
No, that's fine. That was the period when I was in between, leaving the family business, and I actually had a little bit of a health thing, but it was a mystery on how it happened. I got a staph infection in my knee, and it got misdiagnosed, and so they kept draining my knee, the fluid out of my knee, and then finally, I don't know how some internal doctor saw my stuff, and he goes, "You need to have emergency surgery tomorrow to wash it out, or you might really have a problem," because it had been a couple months that they were doing this. And so I had to go and have surgery, and then I had to go get antibiotics in my arm for an hour and a half a day for 6 weeks. And it sucked, but it really forced me to slow down and get grounded, and just kind of, it really gave me that time in my life too. I was really I'd been reading a lot of self-help stuff through the years, but I kind of got back into it then a little bit, and was listening to some of Wayne Dyer's audiobooks and different things. And so it just gave me an opportunity to just chill and prepare for my, to be leaving, you know what I mean? To get all that going. Plus, oh my God, I was doing so much, and I was putting the book together too. So it sounds like it was a really busy time, and it kind of was, but yet it also was perfect in how I was forced to kind of slow down too.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. Yeah.
I know. I find that a lot of people who are just so busy all the time, if they don't slow down, your body's going to make you.
Yes. And my son's running into that right now. He's really driven in different ways than I am. And I'm way better than I was, and he has different interests, but he going for a long time. And he's kind of being forced to slow down a little bit. And it's so interesting because he's okay with it. He's finally feeling like it's like giving him permission, just like it was for me last year, to get off the hamster wheel a little bit. And he's letting a few things go from his life that he was trying to juggle. And so it's changed him.
That's awesome. When it happens, when we see it happen to younger people.
Yeah, he's 27, and we're still waiting to get some results back for some tests, so I'm kind of crossing my fingers. But he lost like 30 pounds in a month, and I mean, he's 6'3", but yeah, and so that's not good.
No. Yeah, that's a message.
For sure.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get off that topic.
Yeah.
I want to talk about intuition. Because that's a big thing about you. You talk about these downloads or these messages, or you're
Yeah.
just following hunches. I want to know, how do you know if it's really intuition or if it's just some crazy wild ass idea that's you, I don't know.
It's such a great question. And I think everybody receives it differently. For me, it's just like, I know I'm supposed to do something. And so it might be a wild ass crazy idea, but
You feel it like in your heart, or how do you know?
I don't know if I feel it in my heart. I kind of feel it. How do I feel it? It's just a
A
knowing. So I
knowing.
don't know if I necessarily feel it in my body. It's just a knowing.
Yeah.
It's a solidified knowing.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, I don't wonder what they think, because I mean, they've seen me do so many different kind of crazy things. I mean, it's all kind of worked out.
Yeah.
But yet,
Until something doesn't. But then that's feedback, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't honestly say nothing's really not worked out. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your definition of success. But yeah.
So this knowing though, so we've established that you have to have kind of quiet your mind in some way. Going for walks in nature is a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Getting good sleep and taking care of yourself in all those ways that you mentioned. What else would somebody who really doesn't feel like they have an intuition, which we all do, but what if they're not tapped into that? How do they strengthen that or see it or hear it?
Yeah, well, meditation's really been good for me, and I do that in addition to like going, walking can be a form of meditation, but I also just kind of sit, and I usually do it in the afternoon. It's the time that works for me. A lot of people like to do it at night or in the morning, but for me, it's kind of in the afternoon, and it's I'll just kind of sit there, and this is silly, but I'm a rocker, and it just kind of helps me get into that zone, and sometimes I'll end up falling asleep a little bit, but it really helps me just get a second wind, and it turns my brain off. And sometimes I'll have a little intention that I'll kind of hang on to at the beginning of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's good. The key is just some people might say, oh, I can't meditate, I'm just too busy. Well, they got to slow their brain down, and they have to really kind of understand that and be aware of it first, and then just try to slowly implement some of these things. And yeah, I have some friends that just really are on all the time, and it's like I feel sorry for them, and I don't know if they're capable of it.
What about journaling?
Great idea.
I think I recommend that for my clients. If your brain is like going nonstop, just write it out. Because I do believe that our brains are trying to tell us something. And if you just totally ignore it all the time, it's going to keep repeating the same kind of stuff. And a lot of it's garbage.
Yeah, most of it's fear-based, and and just stuff that's not helping us. And that I've never even really thought. I mean, that's great. I like that a lot. Journaling, it's a good idea.
Yeah, just pour it out, I think. Because if like you said, for somebody who thinks they can't meditate, or they tried it, but then they got an itch, or then they're saying, oh, here, I can't do it. Like I tried it, didn't even make it a minute.
Yeah,
it's not for me.
And you got to let them know too, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. And so just like take baby steps with it. There's millions of videos on YouTube that have ethereal music or something you could listen to, and just relax to it. Don't even try to meditate. Just shut your eyes, breathe in 7, breathe out 7, and then just start with that.
Right. The breathing is important. Yeah, there's guided ones that tell you what to think even. So there's no excuse. I agree.
Nope.
How busy you are, how active your mind is, it needs to be calmed down. Because I think it's even going to get worse. We think that the internet is as fast as it is, or we have as many distractions as we're going to have. It's just like a small drop in the bucket compared to what's coming.
Well, you're absolutely right. And just to touch, like you said, though, until we can slow down, it will be hard for people to receive that intuition, intuitive hits. And I read something I don't remember where it was, but before technology started kind of kicking in, like the Hertz level, HZs or whatever, that ran kind of across the planet was like 7 or something, but now it's like 60. And so it's just like it's jacking with everybody, just because of all the busyness of stuff and that electrical field stuff, and the
it's going through us, like if you have your phone is in your pocket, and it doesn't matter if you're in line with the tower or whatever, it's going to find it. So it's coming. There's stuff going through us all the time, besides the distractions on social media and yeah. So it's a busy world. We have to take the time and make the time.
Instant gratification world. Yeah.
Yeah. Instant gratification. So that's another part of your message too, about hard work and about not expecting things to be easy or instant.
Yes. And that's kind of messed with me too sometimes, because sometimes I've been in alignment and it feels like things have kind of fallen into my lap. And so sometimes that can kind of mess with me a little bit, because I always think it's going to be that way.
Oh, they haven't fallen into your lap, you're saying? Yeah.
No, they have. Stuff has
they
fallen.
have. Okay.
Like, yes.
Oh,
yeah. And so in some ways, I mean, pardon me?
That's good. Don't complain about that.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. I mean, it's something I've just kind of started to just kind of bank on, you know what I mean? But ultimately, I know for me that because of some of those things that have fallen into my lap, it's made me think more stuff, a lot of stuff will, and it doesn't always work that way. So I guess the most important thing to do is just expect it, get yourself in alignment for it, but also do the daily work and just plant those seeds. And what I've done through my life, especially since I left the family business and in the fields that I'm in, I've planted a ton of seeds, and some bloom rather quickly and some take 10 years to bloom. But just keep planting seeds.
Yeah, that's a good message.
And trust the process.
Yeah. And some, like you said, I do believe some things are going to be serendipitous and they will just happen. And other ones, it's going to take a bit more dedication and work and self-discipline.
And that's okay too, because it just makes it that much sweeter.
Yeah. And the idea of confidence. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. We need to, that's how you'll get it though. You get confidence by getting in the game, not by sitting around and thinking about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. You have a message about how we need to just have fun and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, that was one of the 5 things in the TEDx talk.
Yeah, I really love that, because people are too. I think we are too heavy and maybe watching too much news. I don't know. Something's happening.
Well, I mean, possibly that, but I think also maybe some of it goes back to this instant gratification thing that everybody is kind of like feels like should be part of their, their lives, because everything else is quick and easy. Yeah. But usually what's quick and easy isn't sustainable and isn't as tasty as something that, right?
Yeah.
But for me, when I was 3, I told my mom I was put here to inspire people. And she reminded me after my first book came out. And so that kind of messed with me a little bit, especially after it won an award. I thought I was like, I'm ready to do this in a huge way. And when things were slow, I had the crock pot going for a long time there. And maybe in my own, very tender. Maybe in my own mind, things didn't happen as quickly as I thought they should. And every time I would release something, whether it was another book or a short film or a project, I go, is this the thing that's going to spring me? And that just killed my joy. And it would left me feeling depressed a little bit, instead of just like being proud. I mean, I'm very proud of all this kind of come through me, but I didn't really celebrate it. And I didn't celebrate my wins. And so, you definitely, what's the point? Life is so short and it's so cliche, but it is. And after going through what I went through last year, I mean, I wasn't worried that it was going to kill me or anything, but just stepping off the hamster wheel a little bit, just really just helped me just kind of truly embody. I mean, I could understand it intellectually before that, but embody the fact that, all right, just need to have fun. And you'll keep getting what you need. You'll keep sharing what you're sharing, but just have fun. I mean, the energy of it's so much different and more well received and just enjoyable. And people want to, it's more authentic too, and that's what everybody really wants to be. And so if I'm just trying to be as authentic as I can be, and just to give other people permission to do the same.
Well, that's what this summit is all about. I call it own your unique awesomeness.
Yeah.
And you talk about greatness. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, just in greatness can be kind of a misleading word because sometimes one thing is something is great. It'll be an award-winning movie or an award-winning book or something, but just being yourself is great, because it's not easy because we're having, swim upstream from so many different things, whether it's advertising or social media, all these things that kind of make us feel less than. And so if we can just get to that place of just loving and accepting ourselves, and everything starts to fall into place once you get there. And it's taken me a long time, but this trip has been really good. And one of the things that is really, I guess it was finally time that it's enabled me to do is just, it's enabled me to love the Brian that didn't accomplish all the stuff that he did and write the books that, you know what I mean? And so that's just kind of
you can say yet on all of that anyways. I like to add the word yet.
But there's this part of me that here's me that does all this stuff, but it's just like, that's just part of me. And that's, that's a superficial kind of part. If you're just hanging on to that, there's the other parts of me that have fears and has things that I needed to work through and stuff. And there's a part of me that probably I wasn't loving and accepting that part of me. And so this trip's enabled me to do that. And I just feel so much better. And
that's really nice
because of that. And so that's what I want other people to get to that too.
That's really nice. It's human nature though, too, to always think that we should have been farther along by now or accomplished more or whatever. They say even billionaires, multi-billionaires, somebody says, oh, what a nice jet. They're like, yeah, well, it's just so tiny compared to so-and-so's, like it doesn't matter what you do. So your message about just enjoying the ride and what you said about not celebrating your wins, that is very common. That's something that we literally have to force ourselves to do. So important because
it's like, what's next?
The goalposts keep getting moved. It's like the hedonic treadmill that they talk about. You have this goal and you just go and you get there, and then it's like it's nice for maybe a week, whether it's even the new car smell or whatever, but then it's like gets a scratch and it's like not even, you don't even like your car anymore. We're just so so we just got to appreciate what we have, where we are. Gratitude, find the best in other people. Listen to your intuition. Keep taking steps forward. See
where it takes you. I mean, we as humans try to control things way too much. I've been guilty of that also. And a lot of times people think they know what's going to bring them happiness, but it's just another kind of maybe attempt at subverting or looking at what's inside. But
something quick.
If you follow your intuition, I want people to do it, but don't always just assume that's going to be the final destination. It could just be like the start of showing you a whole new, different, complete path that you ever thought you'd be on. And that was the case for me for sure. It's just, it's a journey.
I love that so much that you have listened to your intuition. And even at 3 years old, you knew that you were going to inspire people, which is really, really cool. And you're doing it.
I'm trying.
And you're just putting one foot in front of the other. So it doesn't matter if you don't know what's around the next bend, you'll see when you get there, when your headlights illuminate that part of the road.
I don't know where I'm going to be living in next. I know it's so crazy. I'm confident everything will line up, but
you got a home on wheels. You're good to go.
Anyway. Well, yes, I'm ready to get grounded and sell it. And so, there's a lot of, I'm confident everything will fall into place, but
who knows, right? It'll be the start of the next adventure though. So, and you can write about it. That's what it is. It gives you more fodder for writing.
For sure. And I'm using this trip as a container for a book already. So I'm sure, yes, where I end up will be part of the story too.
Nice. All right. Let me see what else I got here for notes. We already talked about expecting the unexpected, and there are no rules. That's you're a big example of that. To just go, and it'll be fine.
It's I think when we kind of start playing with rules and all these things, like on how we think we have to get somewhere, it can stifle us.
Yeah.
And so,
Sets you up for disappointment.
well, yes. And I think, there's nothing wrong with having a goal, but I think there's also more of an opportunity to have an intention and that you want to reach. And then I think it's a lot wider field that allows us to get to it if we're just open to that, rather than goals sometimes can be very narrow on how you reach them. But I think they both work well together. But I've always just tried to have an intention and just see the route that has provided me to get there. And
yeah. No, I love it. I think that's amazing. Okay, you said you didn't reinvent yourself, and this is part of your message. You freed yourself by being yourself. You freed yourself. You didn't reinvent yourself.
No, I just kind of, what did I say? Something at the end of that talk, just about unraveling the real parts of me. And I mean, that was 5 years ago, and I'm still stepping into that, freeing myself, but it just gets easier and easier and better. And
well, didn't you say, were you the one that said you teach what you need to learn? That's a quote from somebody too.
I don't know who said that, but I think we are here to teach what it is that we need to learn ourselves. And so I can, started with the balance stuff, and I was doing the workshops for that, and
So you said you're stepping into what you were talking about 5 years ago in your TED talk. I mean, that's what it is. That's what you're meant to teach people.
I don't want to tell anybody what to do. I just want to try to be a living example of someone who's done the work, and that if I can do it, you can do it. And
I love it. Let me see, I got notes up the side of my paper here.
I've never met someone more prepared. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I read your book, obviously. I love it. And all of those points, the people's reviews, this is what I want to tell people out there. What you can do for people who put all of their love and their expertise and their insights and everything into a book. They spend all the time and the effort to write a book, at least read their book. Like, I can't even believe I am huge for learning from other people, because there's so many things that we don't have to make those mistakes ourselves. And you can pick up one tiny insight from somebody's book that they spent their whole life to figure out, and just adopt that into your own life and think of a new perspective or something for $20. Really? Are you kidding me?
I mean, no, I know.
So people say they don't read. Well, maybe that's something that I'd like to encourage people to take up, because it's really wonderful once you get into it and you start taking action. Like, don't just try to take in more information, but actually do something with it.
And it's so easy now too. If you're not a huge reader, you can just listen to them also.
Exactly.
If one is more of a, auditory learner.
Works for you. Yeah. But to actually take action, not to just take in more information, because we are swamped with information from all angles.
No, that's a really great point, because I think a lot of people just kind of get that temporary self-help fix by reading something.
I did. I just keep reading these books. No.
Instead of actually just really chewing on something and incorporating it and digesting it.
And a lot of that is going to feel like hard work, because it's going to be stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's not going to feel all light and fluffy. It's going to be challenging.
Kind of shine some light in there on some of the things that are maybe a little stuck.
You've been hiding or ignoring, or things that haven't been working. Patterns that you've carried along from your past.
Years.
Always. And relationships, like you mentioned, that's a whole topic of having to learn by going through some tough times usually. Because we all have what's going on in our own head. We don't even have ourselves figured out, and then we come together to meet or interact in any way with some other person who has their whole history and their background and beliefs, and you don't even know what's going on in their head. And we think we're going to communicate clearly with each other. It's remarkable when we do. So, Okay. Oh, I want you to tell us, you have something that you prepared
Oh gosh.
a message about self-talk.
Well,
I'm curious to hear about this.
well, this is just something I wrote about 6 weeks ago on the road when I was driving. It just popped into my head. Um, have you ever heard of the Chieftains, that Irish group?
Yes.
That,
Oh, yes, I love
yeah,
them.
I was listening to one of their songs, and it was kind of almost just a singing, not quite what do you call that? A cappella, but almost. And so I just kind of got the rhythm of it, and all of a sudden this kind of story came through me, and so I wrote it. It's called Monster, and basically, I feel like I've really done a good job of eliminating negative self-talk and stuff, but it came through me. And I think it's so important for people to really become more self-aware and get a handle on their talk, because inwardly and outwardly, because it's really kind of the key that unlocks, in the beginning of really getting to that place of self-love. But so, okay, it's called Monster. Dark clouds were cast that fateful day, as he threatened me with words. I know not why he chose me yet, to rate the hate he spewed. I could not escape the verbal scorn, it poked at every turn, mostly when I showed to work, or when I tried to learn. Each day I'd look and scan the sky for clouds that bore him near. On magic winds and without warn, he always would appear, to beat me down and scar my mind, harsh words that struck me dear. No comfort from this hateful man, he kept me in great fear. My life was small, I crept around for fear of being seen. 'Twas no reprieve or means to flee his words that were so mean. Till one odd day I inched along the streets that I called home. I heard the monster whisper aft, you're worthless as a stone. I had a sense to eye the glass that reflected from the store, but scared might see the rascal there behind my shrinking core. To my surprise, I spied a look, and stunned as I could be, there was no monster lurking there. The brute was ever me. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty powerful stuff.
But people really need to realize, just how much it makes a difference.
Yeah, that self-talk, you hear it in the back of your mind, and you think it's real, it's something, true. It's just not. It's just most of the time.
No, it's what we say to ourselves, or it's apologizing all the time. There's a lot of different ways that we can kind of keep ourselves down.
Worthless as a stone. Because our minds do keep saying those kind of things in the background when you try something. Oh, it'll never work out, or you're not good enough, or you're too old, or you're too anything, right? But if you got to catch those things and realize that, no, you're never too old. This is your life. Just go for it.
Yeah, it's never too late. I mean, I'm a late bloomer. I mean, I've had different successes through the years, but I mean, I didn't really figure out what I wanted to do until I was in my 40s, and it's still unfolding. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look, Yeah,
it's all part of the process. Me too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, Brian, I have a question that I ask everybody at the end of the summit.
Uh-oh.
What does? No, it's not hard. It's okay. It's kind of implied in the name of the summit.
Yeah.
Just what does living in integrity mean to you?
Wow. Just being true to yourself, being true to myself, and whatever that means. It can mean a lot of different things, but just being kind to myself, doing the things that I really enjoy doing, that bring me happiness and joy, connecting with other people, good, people, positive folks that are wanting to be the best version of themselves also. Just trying to leave the world a better place than what we found it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Cyndie.
Keep us posted on your adventures.
I will.
Who knows what they might be?
I know. I don't know. I'm gonna be in 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll have a little studio to rent or something, that allows me to kind of, I mean, I know I'll be fine. But
You'll be doing something, stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And inspiring other people to do the same.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you.